Hello everyone, this is part 12 of What If Naruto Had a Hug That Changed Everything, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. At the lush Konoha training grounds, Hinata Hyuga, wearing a casual light blue, long shirt, honestly if you guys what I'm talking about, then I won't go any further, and black, shin-high pants, had just finished a small warm-up exercise to get herself loosened after being released from the hospital. With the memories of her catastrophic fight with Neji, however, she was still filled with great uneasiness. She had a lot more work to do, and she knew it. But that wouldn't stop her. She never went back on her word. It was her Nindo and she'd be damned if she were to give it all up because of a loss. It was pretty safe to say that her inspiration for even lifting herself up from the hospital bed was the though of her beloved Naruto, the strongest and bravest shinobi that she had ever had the pleasure of meeting and was ultimately her source of strength and grace. However, the thought of the pineapple-haired boy didn't put a smile on Hinata's face like it did every other day. This time, she was worried about two things. First, how Naruto would fare in his match against Neji. Second, her worth as a shinobi. She couldn't begin to recall how many times she had questioned her worth before she saw what Naruto was made of. He completed her. A sudden blush found its way to Hinata's cheeks as her thoughts drifted more to the man of her dreams, when all of a sudden, she heard rushed and quickly paced footsteps heading her way. When the violet-haired Hyuga turned around to see what was what, she was greeted with the very object of her affections with very different clothing and a beaming smile on his face. Despite the new look and the shaggier hair, Hinata could definitely tell that the man running right towards her was the Naruto she grew to love. Naruto-kun, she dreamily murmured while staring at how unbelievably hot he was looking right now. A red jacket, black undershirt with bandages wrapped around the abdomen, black pants with red streaks, and dark shinobi sandals. Never in the 12 years of her underrated existence had Hinata seen Naruto look so attractive and silently intense before. Her blush deepened without her permission. As Naruto ran with no clear signs of stopping, his smile never sd. Finally, I'm so pumped. I can't wait to see what I can do now. I'm gonna show everyone a new light for the future and the skills of the next Hokage. Wait for me everyone, Naruto inwardly exclaimed to himself, feeling a battle rush take him over. He snapped out of the brilliant white flash of excitement long enough to see that he was only a few feet from Hinata. But that didn't stop him. Before the young Hyuga girl could even think about reacting, Naruto's body collided into hers with open arms before G-sping her in a spontaneous embrace that thoroughly shocked the pale-skinned female. Immediately lifting Hinata's light body with absolutely no effort whatsoever, the black-clad boy spun her around in one full circle before tossing her in the air. The amount of startlement on Hinata's face would have been hilarious to anyone else but her as Naruto caught her with her torso hung over his shoulder, excitedly chording, while hugging her thighs and swinging back and forth without realizing it. Within only 2 seconds, Naruto flipped Hinata in the air again and caught her by both of her upper arms, holding her high in the air with a strength that Hinata never knew that he owned. With the look of startlement becoming even more vivid, the Hyuga stared into Naruto's deep blue eyes before he spoke. I love. Boom. Hearing those 2 words, in fear and anticipation of the next one, an ocean of tension, the likes of which she had never been subjected to before, convulged unto the center of her very being, inwardly crushing her soul in the best possible way. The world around her became nothing but a blur and the only object she focused on was Naruto. This day, Naruto yelled with youthful joy before he easily set Hinata down on her feet, turned on a dime and made a full sprint in the direction of the Chunin Stadium. See ya at the exams, Hinata. There she stood, staring with widened off in the distance after the blonde boy who metaphorically and literally swept her off her feet. She wasn't even worried about the fact that Naruto's last word wasn't, you. She just stood there, remembering the feeling Naruto's strong arms hugged right beneath her rump. The man whom she thought could not get any hotter just touched her in a way that she had only dreamed of. All sounds around her were blocked out by the weakening sound of her heartbeat, completely oblivious to Kiba, who was wearing a white sweater with the hood down and black shine-high pants like Hinata, walking up behind her. Hey Hinata. Sorry I'm late, but he stopped when he noticed a super blown away look on her face. Hinata. Yo. Kiba's response was her body slowly plummeting to the ground, landing with a comical thud. The young Hyuga's legs lifted into the air, due to the force of the fall, before they landed flat on the ground. Kiba stared blankly at her, before Akamaru poked his head from out of his shirt, staring at the fallen Hinata, before barking to his friend and master. What? Well, Ma, always told me to poke, and with a stick to find out for sure, he said before lowering to a crouched position, picking a random stick and poked the Hyuga's face with it. A sweat bead dropped from Akamaru's forehead before he barked twice. Yeah, I'm serious, bark, bark, bark. I don't think that's any of your business. Mom might be smocking the happy crack, but it sure don't run in the family, Kiba protested, before his little nin dog leaped out of his hoodie and put his ear to Hinata's en. As the silence passed by, Akamaru shot his head up and began barking frantically, catching Kiba's attention. Quote. Oh, huh, well that's awesome, he dim-wittingly commented, as though nothing was wrong before walking off in the direction of the Chunin Stadium. Cool. Well, just wake her up and tell her to meet me at the stadium so we can sweet mother of all that made Jesus the Holy Ghost. No pulse. With that last outburst, Kiba spun immediately around and sprinted to his friend, before he tripped and fell on all fours and frantically crawled to her side, placing his hands over her chest and pumping upon them. Breath, damn it, breath. Meanwhile, at the, now, bustling town of Konoha, Naruto arrived at the busiest part at the busiest time, gawking at the ridiculous number of people that crowded the streets, while curling his fingers in his hair. GWAAAAA. Too many people, he shouted, before whipping his head in several directions, until he pointed his finger scored, to the ROOOOFS. With that idiotic battle cry, Naruto jumped to the air, somersaulting like mad, before landing promptly upon the village roof. Using some that good ol' ninja speed, the blonde-haired boy raced to the Chunin exams without hindrance of any kind, allowing him to further bask in the anticipation building in his heart, while taking a huge whiff of the air. AHHHH. I can't wait. Everyone will be there. I can't wait to see what I'll really be up against. The best of the best are waiting for me, he happily shouted while effortlessly scaling the rooftops of Konoha, edging ever closer to the Chunin Stadium. Out of. Meanwhile in Kyuubi's dark cage, the Great Fox was watching his host hop from roof to roof, whilst feeling a grand lust for battle emitting from him. Kyuubi subconsciously smiled at it all. No wonder the boy had shown such divine leadership. He's become, almost, me. Like, hey, that really takes me back. Kyuubi's memories were suddenly bombarded with the events of the glorious Biju tournament held centuries ago, long before his cursed imprisonment. The tailed beasts of legend, pulling out all the stops in the magnificent brawl for the title of King of the Biju. The thrill, the excitement, the compassion, all that the Kyuubi no Kitsune lived for in one place. His insatiable drive to fight and win earned him the respectable and the Deetslay title of king, and he held it with pride. Snapping Kyuubi out of his thoughts was another great wave of excitement coming from Naruto as he drew so close to the stadium. The Yuko sighed contently before resting his head on the ground. Good times. Out of. Chunin Stadium. The entrance ceremony was about to start and the genin combatants who have trained hard over the 1 month's intermission, were all following their new Chunin proctor, Genma to the entrance of the stadium. Shikamaru Nara, Shino Aburame, Neji Hyuga and the Sand siblings were all raring to go, despite the few faces that were missing. However, halting all of their steps was the feeling of a strong chakra signal from behind them all. In curiosity as to who owned this power, they all looked back just in time to see a blonde boy garbed in black clothing and a blood-red jacket burst from the trees guiding the path to the entrance before running at them all with nearly frantic speed, a beaming smile ever present on his. Not that anyone recognized him right away. As soon as the shaggy-haired blonde made a screeching halt in front of everyone, he bent over, resting his hands on his knees to catch his breath. Looking him over for a second, Genma's eyebrow raised up before he smiled with realization. Good to see that you made it right on time, Naruto Uzumaki, he said, causing everyone else in the group to flinch with surprise, before they shot curious stares at the boy. Naruto quickly caught his breath, before straightening himself and taking a deep breath to center himself. Letting out a refreshing exhale, Naruto smiled intensely at the compassion. He, too, could feel the level of improvement emitting from everyone. Out of everyone who shown surprise on their faces at the new Naruto, Gaara not included, Shikamaru was the one who looked like he was blown away the most. Naruto, no way, is that where I'm feeling this massive battle lust? This power, the pony-tailed Shadow Wilder thought to himself. Neji simply turned back around, Temari smiled, Gaara gave him his little S-man stare, Kankuro scoffed, and Shino, well. Shino just stared at him with that perpetual scowl on his face. Honestly, I think he goes to sleep like that. Well then, shall we get the entrance ceremony underway? Genma said, while chewing on that long piece of hay that always seems to be there. All of the other genin turned back to look at the proctor. As you probably guessed, hundreds of people from many different countries will be watching this annual event. So give it your all and show them what you're made of, he said with a certain confidence. All of the genin nodded once, before they followed Genma through the entrance. Once they all exited the long hallway, they were greeted with the sight that wasn't exactly what they were expecting. The place was packed. Just as Genma described, people from many different countries and villages went wild with cheers when the genin stepped into the open. For Naruto, the insane amount of people that would be watching him didn't bother him at all. Truth is, he was much more preoccupied with the size and shape of the battle arena itself. The place was huge. 3 major platforms, 2 holding the massive crowds of people and 1 where only 2 seats could be seen. Naruto Street USD his surroundings carefully, without waning his fiery smile. The tension was really exciting him. Within one of the crowded platforms, Sakura and Ino sat next to each other while looking down at the genin combatants. Ino intently checked out all of the compassion, but when she saw Naruto, she was blown out of the water when she saw the fire in his face. Whoa, Naruto. I can feel the drive, the battle lust. Look at his eyes, the blown female swoon. No, not that kind of swoon. Turning a small piece of her attention to Sakura, Ino saw that she still had the same look on her face from 3 hours ago. She was undoubtedly looking at Naruto, but only to have her mind and heart plagued with the same memories. Ino was obviously getting sick of all of this mope that her pink-haired friend was carrying around with her. It was getting contagious and she couldn't take it anymore. Sakura, stop worrying so much. Naruto has already forgiven you, but I don't think he'll do so good in the fights unless you wish him the best, do you think? She asked with a confident smile. Sakura turned her head to Ino with a lighter expression before she fell into an understanding smile. Without even hearing the words come out of the blonde female's mouth, Sakura could almost hear Ino saying that she understood why she was upset and why she ran away from Ichiraku, but everything would eventually work out for the best. The jade-eyed genin nodded before turning her attention back to the combatants below, mostly the battle-crazed Naruto. Elsewhere, at the Konoha hospital, in a secluded room, large and organized, resided the troubled Anko Mitarashi, who sat upon one of the cushion seats with darkened bags under her eyes, whilst flipping through a specific autopsy with vigor, but much doubt as well. Damn it. No matter how many times I read it all over, I still don't believe it, she thought to herself with much fatigue, a severe drainage of blood, right when she entered the hospital. An empty pill found in her intestine. That only leads to one possible answer, but. Anko, a familiar voice of a man sounded from the entrance of the room, grudgingly catching the attention of the fatigued Junin, still at it, huh? Anko stashed the autopsy reports away before looking up at the man who owned the voice and sighed. Why are you here, Abiki? Shouldn't you be on guard duty? She asked tiredly. The interrogation specialist shoved his gloved hands in his pocket. Oh, spare me. I've been on duty since 2 a.m. this morning. Someone else is filling in for the next 20 minutes. I just came by to confirm a very important detail, he informed. Anko's eyes darkened slightly. Is it true, Anko? Did you really see him? Abiki asked with much concern. The brunette Junin rose to her feet and huffed. Damn it. The possibility of that demon is still living just don't seem plausible to me. But I saw him. I saw him with my own 2 eyes, she shouted before lowering her head with dread. He's alive. The forest, the autopsy reports, it all passes together. I still can't believe we made it out of that forest, even to this day. Well, if that wasn't one hell of an answer, then what the F was? Ibiki could definitely tell that Anko had been under a lot stress, what with the bags under the eyes and all. He could even understand why Anko didn't inform Sandaime Hokage of this development. He would have cancelled the Chunin exams in a heartbeat. But if what his fellow Junin said was true, then there were a few things that needed to be cleared up. Anko, Ibiki said. What? She responded flatly. Come with me. There's something I've got to show you. Anko looked at Ibiki before nodding lethargically and followed the black-clad Junin out of the room. For this scene, just picture the absolute evilest calm music you can possibly think of and play it as you read. It's fun. Back upon the Hokage monument, the figures of Nekoshi and Kitsune stood in the exact same spot as 3 hours ago, growing excited now that the fireworks signifying the start of the Chunin exams went off. HMHMHMMM. So it finally begins, Nekoshi smiled to himself. Kitsune whipped her head to her left side. We have a visitor, she said wearily. As Nekoshi slowly shifted his head to the left direction, an eerie, grey mist of death slowly formed beneath the two shinobi. Seeing the mist and feeling the foreboding presence of a familiar person, Nekoshi and Kitsune relaxed completely. Kitsune smirked. HN. Welcome back, sensei. I trust that your meal was bountiful, she suggested. From out of nowhere. From out of positively nowhere, a familiar and tall shaded man appeared from behind the two and slowly marched to the foot of the monument to share the view of his pupils. Yes, I have not had a meal that's satisfying in decades. Much of my power has returned to me in earnest, the dominant mare hissed with sadistic delight and a no longer weakened demeanor. Always good to hear. So, did you come to watch the show too? Nekoshi asked while staring at the distant Chunin stadium with a smile on his face. No, I have come to ask you too, how much of Konoha's population has increased, since I was away? The Dark Leader asked, licking his lips with his inhuman and slimy tongue. Give me a guesstimate. Quote. 30% increase, Nekoshi and Kitsune said in perfect unison. Hearing these delightful words, the large blood-guzzling fiend smiled demonically as his eyes flashed a shade of ravenous red. HMMHA hey he 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 hey. Chunin Stadium. 5 minutes have passed by and the main event has yet to get started. All of the genin, who were lined up side by side behind Genma at the center of the battle arena, had been patiently waiting for things to get underway. Well, all except one. Naruto had crossed his arms impatiently as he waited for two things, actually. The shaggy-haired genin repeatedly tapped his index finger upon his bicep as his ambitious smile fell into a penetrating scowl. His deep blue pupils slowly shifted from left to right. Where the hell is Sasuke? I was looking forward to seeing him before my match against Neji, Naruto ardently thought to himself. After only half a minute, the blonde genin couldn't take it anymore. He walked right up to the Chunin proctor from behind. Mr. Genma, he asked. The Heichewing Junin turned his head to the side to look at Naruto. What ya, Mr. Genma? It's just Genma, he corrected. Naruto raised his hand to the back of his head and smiled. Right. So, Genma. HN. Naruto's face grew serious. Do you have any idea where Sasuke is? He asked, gaining the full attention from the brown-haired leaf ninja. Quote. If I knew that, then I'd probably drag him here myself so we can get started. The only reason the matches haven't started yet is because we're missing some people, Genma informed. Naruto scowled again before falling back into his previous spot. Hearing everything, Shikamaru stared to look around the arena. True. That Dosu guy I'm supposed to be fucking isn't here either, huh, he thought to himself. All thoughts were cast aside when the voice of Sandaime Hokage, Sarutobi echoed the announcements. Yeah, gonna skip those. After the announcements were complete, Naruto became very uneasy. Genma, Sasuke isn't here yet. What do we do? He asked with much concern. The Chunin proctor turned completely around to face the genin before him. Well, for starters, you can look at this, he said before pulling out a piece of paper from out of his shinobi vest. Genma flapped the paper once to straighten it out for all to see. There have been a few changes in the match setups this last month. Take a look at who will be facing who, he informed. Naruto grimaced. Sure, he wanted Sasuke to be here and he was surrounded by fighters who were strong, but if that meant that Neji wasn't his opponent, that would piss him off, big time. That wasn't the case, however. Naruto was still in the first match against the Hyuga. At realizing this, the black-clad Genin's battle-craven smile returned. Wherever the hell Sasuke is, he'd better not weasel his way out of this, Naruto thought. Shikamaru's eyes narrowed at the new matchups. Well, what the hell? Did Mega Man, I mean, Dosu retire? He thought. After deciding that the Genin had enough time to look at the new matchups, Genma stuffed the paper back in this vest. Alright, we can't delay this any longer. If Sasuke Uchiha doesn't show when his match begins, then he'll lose by default, he said. The Genin were silent. Now, we'll get this show on the road. The first match. Naruto Uzumaki and Neji Hyuga. X. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.